Welcome to episode 73 of Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinert and I'm recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. We had a lot of graphics work in the last time, and photography will follow soon, very soon. But I want today to do a little bit of theory about layers. But first, let me talk a bit about this project and what's going on. I asked for help in some episodes ago, and well, I got some help. First, there is Matthias, and Matthias is working on the forum. He has arranged all the boards in a new way, and now the forum can grow without too much pain. And please, if you post into the forum, look where the board is that fits best. Matthias had put a lot of time into this, and I think he will be a very harsh enforcer of these rules. I nearly got caught today, but I remembered to move the topic I was posting on. So just have a look at the forum, and I think it's getting more and more a really good source of information. Then there's James, or Sorrel Shark, on the forum, and James is keeping an eye on the blog entries. From every second day or so, there's someone coming through this Kismet spam filter. And by the way, if you're posting into the blog and your posting doesn't show up immediately, then it sits in the Kismet spam filter. We don't look at this filter. All the stuff that sits there just gets deleted. If you're hit by this, just send me an email at info@meetthegimp.org, and I'll try to get your posting back. Just give me some hints where to look and for what to look. Or rephrase your posting so not to be seen as a spammer. I think the number of links you give there is one thing, and there are some more. Just try it. I don't know if anybody has happened to be hit, because I don't look at that stuff. It's over 40,000 postings now, and they're coming in at the moment again in the hundreds a day. Another one who is helping a lot at the moment is Kevin, and Kevin is busy looking at back episodes, and while he's watching them, he notes down the table of contents. You know, we have introduced this table of contents just recently, and all the back shows don't have them. And, well, he does them, and he is very busy doing them, but it's such a lot of episodes. He and I would be happy if there was some help. And I think if you are looking at back episodes, just take something to note down. Kevin has posted a list of the episode he hasn't covered up to now, and I would suggest that everybody who comes into this episodes, and I suggest that everybody who wants to help has a look at these posting here in the forum. I'll put a link into it into the show notes, and announces that he wants to do, let's say, episode 22. Then we'll avoid double work, and we will keep track of the open list of episodes. I'll think about a way, perhaps by editing this posting here or making this sticky for the top. And now I have to get busy and include these table of contents into the several blog posts. But now, layers. Let's talk about layers. I did this show a month ago, but I messed up the sound, and so, well, let's redo this. An image in GIMP is a grid of pixels. Well, that's all computer images. Each pixel consists of 3 colors, red, green and blue. And due to the build of our eyes, these 3 colors mix up into all the colors we can see. Well, on the computer, it's not all the colors we can see, but all the colors the monitor can display and that are in the sRGB standard. And these are not all the colors, but millions of colors. And for the not specially trained eye, there is no visible difference. 8-bit, these 255 by 255 by 255 number of colors is enough for every display, but 16-bit would be nice with some manipulation of this stuff. So this is a plane of 400 by 400 numbers. There's a 4th number in there, and that is opacity. How much of this is visible? And in this case, the opacity is full, 255, and we see everything. Well, this layer here has an opacity of 255 because it has no opacity. Here this is written in bold, and I can add with add alpha channel the transparency information to this channel. And you see here this layer gets a name in not bold, a normal font. So this is the first thing. This is a plane of numbers. Up to now, there is no real difference to MS Paint or other programs of that kind. But now we can add a layer. Let's add a second layer here and have it filled with transparency, and let's call it layer 1. Okay, nothing has changed here, but when I paint on this layer, it's here visible, and the background layer hasn't changed. I can switch off here the visibility. You see here, this is on, and you see it. And you can switch this off. Perhaps you have seen how artists are doing animated films when they don't use a computer. They use sheets of clear plastic and paint on that and move that against each other. And so you can do with a layer. I can just take the move tool and just move this around here. Can come quite handy. You can avoid this moving by locking these layers, and now when I move this, I move both layers. Now I fill my top layer here with a gradient from black to white. There are other ways than changing the opacity here to blend these layers into each other. One is the layer mode. These layer modes, well, they control how these 2 layers are combined. Let's look here at my favorite, at overlay. You see here, we have got basically the background layer. Here, if I click on here, this layer gets invisible, the eye closes. And you see, this is a background layer, and this is the combination of the 2 layers. You see here, at this area, in the middle, around here, nothing really changes. Basically stays the same, but here the image gets darker and here it gets brighter. This is because this overlay has a special mathematic formula behind it which controls the output of these pixels. because what you see now is the top layer and the background layer combined by a formula, and this formula is defined in the overlay mode. And we can look this up. Go to gimp.org and there to documentation and choose your language, and then you get a long list of things that you can do with GIMP. This documentation is really good. Let's look for layers here. And here they are, layer modes. This introduction into layers is really good. You should look into it if you are not quite familiar with layers. But let's have a look at layer modes. And here they are, all the layer modes with example images, how they are working out. For each mode there is an equation. E is the result, and M is the top layer, the mask, and I is the layer below, the image. This assumes that you only have two layers, but if you have a stack of layers, then you start at the bottom, combine these two, and then add the next layer, combine them with the result of the layer below, and so on. It can get quite complicated if you have a really high stack of layers. So, let's look here at the standard layer. It's the normal layer, and here you see E equals M. Well, you see the top layer. You don't see anything that is below. And now let's go for the overlay mode. Dissolve, multiply, divide, screen, and overlay. And here you see it gets quite complicated. I won't go here into the details of all of the modes. You can just find out yourself if you are interested in some. One thing is the names are misleading. Dodge, for example, has not a lot to do with dodge and burn like I showed in one of the last shows. The same is true for burn and a lot of other layer modes. For me it's basically following recipes of other people and just playing around, trying stuff out. And sometimes you get very funny results, and sometimes it works really good. But I think that's not really fun, and I say go over to the documentation, have a look what layer modes are available there, and if you can use them if you want to. And the other way, just look what others have done. When you see what Philippe does with different layer modes, and so it's quite a lot that is possible there. The same modes are available for the painting tools, by the way, and there the equations are the same, but the top layer is the pixel, and the image is, or the layer you're painting on is the lower layer, and then everything happens the same as here. But that's a different topic. Some other stuff about layers you'll find in the forum at forum.meetthegimp.org, there in image processing software. There is a thing here called Tips, Tricks and Great Ideas, and there we have increased contrast and decreased contrast, both with layers. And let's have this, let's fit this in. Okay, here it is. This is Opera, by the way, a browser that can quench your web pages into a given width. Well, not so good here, but it works. Matthias writes that to decrease the contrast, duplicate the layer, convert it to black and white, invert the colors, blur it a little bit with Gaussian blur and set the layer mode to overlay. Well, let's try this. Let's take an image which I shot with my new cell phone, and this image is not so good because I left the protective sheet of plastic on the lens, but even through this lens it looks not so bad. And here you see the waterfront shopping center, shopping mall in Bremen. It's quite a success because this was the old space park, a place where the city has sunk some millions, which could have been used, an example, at my school, much more better. Okay, we should double the layer. Done. Then convert this to monochrome. Desaturate. Okay. Invert. Colors invert. And set this to overlay. Let's look. Well, yes, the contrast is a little bit less. This works basically as the technique that I've shown a lot of times, I think. Doubling this and just putting it in overlay mode. And this is just the opposite because we have inverted the colors. And if I... Sorry, that was a mistake. Ctrl Z gives this back. If I double the layer, you see here we'll get less and less contrast, and the image gets stranger and stranger and stranger. Let's remove these images here. Okay, finally some small tricks that are, I don't know if they are so known around. If you just click on one of these eyes here, just this layer switches on and off. But if you press Shift and click on one, then you can toggle all the others off and on. So you can just switch all the layers off except for the one you're working on. Or here, Shift and press, just switch this on and switch this one off. And if you just click again on this with Shift on, all the layers are on. This is quite handy if you have a lot of layers. In a future version there will be layer groupings that you can put some layers together. That's would be nice too. You can change the order of layers by using this here, the arrows, by just pulling this down. Let's give them better names here. So you can just move this around here, or you can just drag this up and down. You can even do this with the background and have some fun with this mixing of images here. So what else? Here, this protects the alpha channel. If you have an alpha channel, here is no alpha channel on in these layers, but if you have an alpha channel and click this, activate this here, then you will not change the opacity of the pixels while working on them. I really don't know why to use this, but I think it will have its uses. And now let's look here on the bottom. We have had this. We have here create a new layer, and here you can just set in the layers that you want, and here you can put in all the stuff that you want to have. Let's just do this, and when I use Shift and click, the layer will pop up without this dialog and use the last data I entered there, the last values. Then we have this one here, this just doubles the layer and puts a copy behind the name. We have this anchor, which comes in if we have a floating selection running around. Then we can anchor this and make this selection into a layer. And of course we have the trash bin, and we can just delete these layers and they are gone then. I've talked about the opacity here, the layer modes, and well, I think that was it. No, that wasn't it, really. One big thing about layers are, well, let me delete this one too here. One big thing about layers are the layer masks, and you can just add a layer mask by right-clicking and here add a layer mask. You have a choice of different things here. Let's select here white, full opacity. And now you see we have a second image here. And everything that is on this image and is white is making this here visible. You see, now everything is visible. Let me take a pen, and I've selected black as a foreground color, and let's make this pen really big. And now I'll paint. Let me look here. I have this activated. You see there's a white border around it. No, you don't see it. You see it now. There is a white border around it. And I just paint on here. And you see, you should see it. The bottom layer comes through. Perhaps I should use a different image here. But, okay. The bottom layer comes through. This is black, and black hides all the stuff on this top layer. Gray, well, it just makes this a bit opaque. It's let me show you that, but with different layers. Okay, here I'm back. I've changed the background to bold red and the foreground here to blue. And now I've just painted here with black on this white background. Now let's use some gray. And now let's use some gray paint. Just switch back to black and white, and we have black now, and just pull up the value. Now back to my layers and check that the layer is selected, the layer mask is selected. It's quite nasty if you paint on the layer itself and not on the layer mask. So paint here. You see we get a mix of these two. And if I select a different gray, lighter gray, different mix of the two. Darker, and it gets more from the bottom. This is quite useful for selectively showing part of layers. Masking them off. You can mask things off. You can hide stuff by painting it black on the layer mask, or show stuff by painting it white. There's a last thing to know, and that is you can click on Show Layer Mask, and this is here. Then you have a green border around, and you can see the layer mask here. And you can click on Disable Layer Mask, and then if we unclick Show Layer Mask, then the layer mask is painted here with a red border. Now for a special layer, the text layer. Just today there is a question in the forum how to re-edit, correct and change text in a layer in GIMP. And we had some questions about that. I asked, and Matthias asked what this was, and I promised to show a little bit about that. And here is another tip from Fornet. I didn't think about that, so I'll read it here for you. And well, he is a little bit upset because that I was just typing while he was typing, and well, sorry for that. He wanted to post that he uses a text editing program like OpenOffice or another text editor for making his text, and then copy them from the text editor into the GIMP layer. And I think that's a very good idea. You have all this helpful stuff like spelling checking and so in a word processor, and that's missing in the GIMP, well, word processor. So now let's just tackle this thing about re-editing GIMP text layer. So let's enter a text here, and well, let's pull this layer a little bit larger. Here is the text editor, and I made an error here. I close this and enlarge my area where I want to have this. This is a text layer, and you see it because here is the text icon. This text property can be lost easily when you resize this, rotate it, or do, I think, every pixel operation that is not a text property. But we'll have a look at that in a minute. So let's just add another layer, just a transparent layer on top. So here we have these 3 layers, and if I paint here something, I can work on this one here. And now I want to change this text, and now I just double click here, my editor opens, and I can correct this. So, but when I do something like, let's say rotation, let's rotate this a bit, and I don't know, I haven't tried this with 2.6. Let's rotate this and click on it. Then you see here the T is gone, and now I can click on here. Well, I can change the layer attribute here, the name of the layer, but nothing happens here. So if you lose this T here, then you're lost. Then you have to re-enter the text into this text layer. Only if there is this T at the beginning, or only if there is this T in the layer image here, in the preview thumbnail, then you have a text layer that can be manipulated. And with this text layer, you can do everything that you can do with a text here, changing the font, the size, and do other thing that is here doable with text. You can even let the text flow along a path, and so on. I really don't know which operations lose here, get this to lose the text property. But you can do it deliberately by just right-clicking here and then go to here, discard text information, and then this is turned into a normal layer. This is of course undoable by undo or Ctrl-Z, but only if you haven't the image changed already. Well, I think this was it for layers, a small introduction into layers. I think the most helpful way to cope with layers is just think of them as sheets of clear plastic stacked onto each other, but with a way of changing the light passing through that is more complicated than if there was just some paint on it. A big thank you to all the guys who are helping me with this project here, and I say goodbye up to next week.
photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the potosphere. photocastnetwork.com